Boxing King Media in association with boxer Frank Smith. Frank, it's been a while. We're at your place of work. I feel like I shouldn't really even call this work, because it just looks more like a nice pad with gardens and alpacas or llamas in the backyard.
Yeah, helipad, that's how we all get. Normally we get the helipad, the Uber helipad service into the office as well. No, you know what, it's a nice place to be. You know, it's a nice energy and nice place to come to, you know, especially when we're not travelling and we're all over the place. And you know, when you can come back to a base like this, it's quite a special place. And I've been here 15 years now, so it holds a special place in my heart.
I think fans would be curious. Could you explain the whole helipad service? How does it work? Do you just put it on an app and does it pick you up from home and bring you direct to the office?
Yeah, normally we ring Barry's pilot and just say, look, I'm in Brighton, can you come and get me? And they're there for 30 minutes, they're there, and you just get here and you float in, and perfect, mate, it's a place to be.
Swimming pool as well, forgot to mention the swimming pool.
Yeah, we do water aerobics in there. Got a 9 AM class and a 5 PM class. Yeah, a bit of yoga as well we do on the grass. It's a nice atmosphere and place to be, as I say.
Lucky man. Let's jump into it. We're here for the announcement of Jordan Thompson's World Title Challenge to Jay Apataya. I spoke to Eddie earlier and I suggested that it seems like it's a big roll of the dice. This is that how you see it, and how much of a percentage of an underdog is he in this fight as well? Because he's not even fought a fringe world level.
Look, in reality, it is a roll of the dice. You know, you're going in there against Jai Apataya, who's widely regarded as the #1 in the cruiserweight division. But when you get an opportunity like this, you have to take it. You know, Jordan Thompson's got the ability and the power to go in there and cause an upset here. And if he does, he changes his life. And you know, if we wouldn't have made this fight and taken this opportunity now for a world title, you know, he may not have got a world title shot in the next 18 months or so with all of the other mandatories. And he may have had other hard fights just to get into that position to challenge for a world title. So look, we're delighted to deliver that opportunity for him. And look, I believe he can go in there. It's a hard test, as you say, but I believe he can go in there and he's got a chance of causing an upset in there.
What is the plan for the winners? Because obviously you've got a co-promotional deal with Apataya. What's the benefit to the winner and loser?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, we've obviously had to, Breedis is the mandatory after this. We agreed a deal to delay that fight, so the winner of this fight will have to fight Breedis. But you know, there's other big unifications to be made out there as well. You know, obviously Chris Billam-Smith, I'm not sure what he's doing. I think he might be rematching Lawrence Okoli at some point. So you know, that's a big unification fight to be made, possibly early part of next year. But let's see.
We'll come back onto that. One thing I was actually going to ask this as the first question, but we jumped into the show. You know, speaking to Eddie earlier, and he kind of mentioned how he kind of puts the business and everything he does with work first, and he was saying how much time he spends on his phone. It kind of took over his life. Do you have the same sort of work ethic? I don't know if to describe it like that, because I know on your personal life it can have a massive impact, especially with family and friends. Yeah,
look, it's my entire life. I think in order to be the best at whatever you do, you have to give your life to it. And I think there's different stages in your life where, you know, balance can change. I don't think I have any balance now. I don't think I have any balance in the next few years. But hopefully one day, if I do this work now, I will do in time. But yeah, we're fully committed. This is our life. You know, we're spending the next 3.5 months on the road. We got a show nearly every weekend, and if we haven't got a show this weekend, I'm in Barcelona, you know, working on a deal, you know, meetings, then back, then go to Mexico, then we go to Miami for meetings, then we're in, we've got a show at the Caribe Royale in Orlando, then we're home, we've got London show. It's back to back. It's a lifestyle, and you have to be all in. You can't half-ass this industry. You can't have late nights out, be off your phone. This is your life. You know, I spend lots of my time outside, you know, meetings or restaurants, on the phone, on calls. But that's what we do, and we're lucky to do something that we get to see, you know, the end product, and we get to create special nights. So really, we're in a business that, although it is your life, it's a nice way of spending your life, if you get me.
Definitely is. It's like making your hobby your job. One of the other things I spoke to Eddie about was, and you can kind of touch on it because he explained it, was I want to kind of off topic here. a lot of people have got assumptions that fighters make a lot of money, especially when they're starting off and they hear they've sold 500 tickets, or they must be making loads. But the reality of boxing is the percentage game, where the percentage goes to the promoter, the manager, the trainer, and then ultimately the fighter's left with, like, you know, I mean, maybe 60% of what they earn. If you could just kind of touch on that.
Yeah, look, I think boxing at the initial level of debutant is a hard sport. You know, if you compare it to other sports, namely football, where you've got these young footballers coming in at like 16 years old, and a load of them are on a fortune. Boxing isn't quite like that. You know, your first 10, 12 fights, it's a struggle. Unless you've got that Olympic pedigree, or you've got a name from, you know, a famous name within the sport, it is a struggle. And you have to respect what, you know, these fighters go through to get to that point, because it's not an easy journey. And you know, those early stage fights, they are tough.
They definitely are. So this show, on the undercard, we've got 4 ladies fighting as well. It's a solid card. Shannon Ryan, Maisie Rose, Rhiannon Dixon was not here today. They're all having step-ups, and Elise Scotland is defending the world title. Any one of them particular fights you're looking at for the most? Name me one.
Look, I'm looking forward to Ellie Scotland defending her world title, you know, making the first defence. Like you say, some great talent on there. Shannon Ryan back out again, Maisie Rose, and Rhiannon Dixon challenging for the European title, which, you know, so she's been waiting for that opportunity for a long time, her first major title shot. So yeah, got some great fights there. You got as well Chev Clark. He's fighting Vasil Duka, which is a brilliant fight. We've seen Vasil in against Jordan Thompson, gave him a tough fight, and I think it's another step up for Chev Clark. He's been on a great journey, and you know, he's been entertaining people. His finishes have been great. You've also got George Liddard, Jimmy Sains, Ibrahim Suleiman as well. You know, it's a stacked card top to bottom, and looking forward to it.
Definitely. So, just want to talk to you about a couple of other subjects away from this show. A lot of rumours are circulating around in boxing. You know, obviously we're talking about the AJ Wilder fight. People have been quoting Eddie Hearn in interviews from like 3-4 months ago, where he said the fight's locked in, AJ Wilder, the deal's agreed, all that sort of stuff. And now the rumours are that Skills Challenge are basically no more, because the funding in Saudi is now going towards the people that are putting the Fury and Ngannou fight on. So could you kind of clarify for fans basically what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, look, I think there are changes in the sort of landscape in boxing in Saudi. Obviously, you've seen the General Entertainment Authority, who are putting on the Fury and Ngannou fight. I think they're going to take a more forward-facing role in boxing within the kingdom. You know, look, we've had a great relationship with Skill Challenge, delivered some brilliant events. You know, and when Eddie said in the past the deal's agreed, it's because the deal is agreed. You know, when you have a relationship with someone, and in terms of the numbers and the outline and the plan, it is like, you know, it was all our intention to make the fight. I think we're going to have to look at other routes now to try and make that fight, you know, whether it be that in Saudi or looking at other opportunities. You know, we've got a great relationship in Abu Dhabi, as people are aware. You know, it's a massive fight for the US as well, massive fight for the UK. I think it's more likely in the US than the UK in terms of revenue that can be generated for that fight. But, you know, I do still believe the fight can happen. But our focus, again, goes back to Anthony Joshua and keeping that momentum and delivering him a fight.
So have you had word from like the people at Skills Challenge, whoever you obviously dealt with directly? I know you had a meeting a few weeks ago. Well, what is the official word from them? Are they saying hold on, or are they saying that that's it, we can't deliver it anymore?
I think we're still, look, there's been many discussions at various levels in Saudi around the Joshua Wilder fight. We're still having a few discussions around the potential of it, but we have to see, you know, we have to see how things play out. But, you know, as people say, we've been talking about this for a long time, and at a certain point we have to make a move. And if that opportunity is not there to do it, then we have to look at other routes, and that's what we're doing now.
And what are the other routes? Because I spoke to Eddie earlier on again. He struggled to kind of name. I think he said Ruiz, and I can't remember the other name you mentioned. But ultimately, why can't we just make Wilder, Joshua in the UK or America? Because realistically, on pay-per-view, that does mad numbers.
Yeah, I think, look, the numbers have to be. You got to understand, fighters have got a value in their head as to what's been spoken about for that fight. Whether that's
taking Saudi away, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's still in your mind. If someone said to you, I'm going to pay, again, it may not be there, but you still have
imaginary figures. So people, because there's going to be people wondering, what kind of numbers is he talking about?
All right, so say it was 300 million, just making it up, It wasn't 300 million.
And I won't title the video that either.
Yeah, and now we're saying, please don't, and now we're saying actually it's 100 million.
Okay.
You know, and again, it might still be great money, but it's not what you thought it was. You know, look, there's a lot of things that have to go through. It's the human brain as well, isn't it? When a number's been spoken about, that then sets the mind of what the value of that fight is. So yes, look, there's work to be done on both sides, and they'll have to deliver another fight for Wilder. So I'd still love to see the fight. I believe we could see the fight, but with everything, there's so much talking, it's kind of let's try and focus on getting some things over the line.
That's a good way of explaining it so people can kind of understand the context of it. The other thing I want to speak to you about is Ben Shalom. We've seen over the last week, obviously I've not interviewed you for a while, but I've seen the titles of the videos that you've been interviewed in. Everything's been Ben Shalom X, Y and Z. Where did it go all wrong? Because from what I can remember, like say 6 months, 10 months ago, when everyone spoke to Eddie about yourselves and Boxer doing working together, Eddie always said, oh, Frank speaks to Ben. But it seems like there's been like a big breakdown somewhere. When did that happen for you, and when did it mess the relationship up?
Firstly, I think, the difficult thing is the titles that you guys, not you, but you utilise what is going to get the most clicks, right? So I get asked a question about Ben Shalom, I'll just give you my honest answer, right? And I'll tell you what I think. It's not me going, right, at the start of the interview, before we start anything else, I want to talk to you about Ben Shalom. No, I couldn't care. Like, if you didn't ask me a question about Ben Shalom, I couldn't give it, I wouldn't bring him up, I wouldn't raise him, right? So that's the first part of it. Because I don't like the fact if you're just talking to him. Same with Frank Warren, for example. I'll just respect, if you ask me a question, I will give you an answer. It may not be the nicest answer, but it's not me looking for clickbait, it's me just being honest.
Yeah.
I can give it, like whether one person watches this or a million people watch it, it's better for you, not me. In terms of where did it go wrong, I don't like the way he does business. That's the reality of it. I don't like the way he does business. That's all it comes down to.
Could we ever see that relationship fixing again? Could we see you guys working together again, or is it completely broken, do you think, now? Because you was the link before with Boxer and Matchroom, and now it appears like there's no one.
I'll work with anyone. But I'll be honest with you about, I don't like the way he does things. I made an offer yesterday for Adam Azim to fight Dalton Smith on one of our shows. I sent Ben Shalom and his team, John Wishusen, who I've known for many, many years. I love John Wishusen. I have a great relationship with John Wishusen. Al Siesta as well. Sent them an offer yesterday for the Adam Azim fight, to fight Dalton Smith on one of our shows. They're all about working with other people, so let's see if they really are. It's a massive offer.
Just about counter-argument, would you accept an offer if they countered that and offered Dalton to fight on their show?
If they made a great offer for Dalton Smith that made a lot of sense, 100%. 100%. We've been open about it. We've done it on multiple occasions, haven't we? You can't say we haven't worked with other promoters and put fighters on other shows. If they made a massive offer for Dalton Smith, yes. But, it's all this talk about things. But again, I'm always willing to work with people, but I will always be honest about my opinion of someone. And I'm not making it up. I'm just telling you what I think. I don't like the way he operates. I don't like the way he talks about we're all about the fighters and then he messes his fighters' careers up. That's just me being honest. But doesn't stop me from if it's good business, makes sense for our fighters, great.
It's a shame because I'm just thinking of a fan's perspective. It gets great to see some crossover fights, and I feel like we might not get that now.
But you have to step away. Like all this is all an act. This is all a laugh, right? All it, like as in, I have my view. It doesn't matter. I have a view on a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of people who I thought, do you know what? I don't really like you, but I'll do what's best to make things happen. But again, people perceive it as that means they won't work with them. We'll work with anyone. How many back and forths have there been between Eddie and Frank over the years, or Eddie and Bob, or Eddie and Oscar De La Hoya? I spoke to Eric Gomez 2 days ago about trying to make Munguia against Ryder, or Munguia against Bivol. So it's all. If people want to work together, it doesn't matter about your relationships. You'll make it happen.
Definitely so. Let's hope that happens. And then, quick one, because the last time me and you spoke, when the weather was this nice, we were sat in a boutique hotel in Abu Dhabi somewhere. I won't even mention the name of the hotel because it's very undisclosed, only for the high-profile people like yourself. You said there was going to be shows in Abu Dhabi in June, and then I think you said there might be one in September, but nothing's materialised. Is it the same sort of thing that's going on in Saudi, where you're just waiting and these guys aren't getting things over the line?
I actually had a really good call with Abu Dhabi, our partners in Abu Dhabi yesterday, about a show for December. So that is currently our plan, to get something over the line for there. Look, with these things you have to go back and forth. It's just the way it works. You know, it's you have to work hard to get a deal over the line. But when you do get a deal over the line, it's it's great. So I'm very confident we'll get something done. Like I say, very good calls yesterday, and I feel we'll get something done hopefully for December, if not January time.
Thank you, Frank. And last question I've got for you. And we've seen the whole Vada thing come out this week. You guys have been praised by a lot of people in boxing for the money that you're spending in Vada. But just a question I've got on it is, just looking at it as an outsider, we've seen 5 fighters get tested positive in the last year. Obviously with Connor, Baumgardner, Dillian White, I forgot the other one, but Helenius, that's it, and then obviously the guy the other day. But 4 out of the 5, to my knowledge, have all basically said, Connor said there was issues in the lab. The other fighters are all protested their innocence. And then also we're getting the issue where Vada can't even punish them. So realistically, what are we paying Vada all that kind of money for? Can we not just pay that money to UCAD and so they can kind of invest it and do international testing? Could it not work like that?
Look, I think if we can come together in a way, I think UCAD and the British Boxing Board of Control are under-resourced. And that's not a good thing. That's not me saying it in a negative manner. It's just the reality of it. You have to remember UCAD is across a breadth of sports, not just boxing. And they tested 360 boxers, or did 360 tests. So it could be people getting tested multiple times. I think additional measures of testing are good. And you talk about Conor Benn, for example. Conor Benn went through the process people asked for him to go through. Mm-hmm. Whether people accept it or not. I'm not an expert, you're not an expert unless you are a medical expert. I don't understand a lot of these things, but there's people put in place to review these tests and make a decision. Conor Benn went through that process with the WBC and Vada, and they made a decision. I didn't make the decision, it's nothing to do with me. I don't know I do accept that there needs to be, and I think since the Conor Benn situation, this is where things have improved. There needs to be a better plan of how things are dealt with, hence why we've made improvements. And I think this is an ever-evolving situation where people can continue to make improvements, but I think there's a lot of people throwing mud in the sport who actually aren't willing to invest any money. That's not me talking, it's not me now bringing people up again, it's just we're trying to do good things for the sport, and it's sort of people then talk a load of rubbish but actually don't follow through and make an investment themselves. I do think, as always, there can be improvements. I think if we can come together as a sport, the difficulty is we're not a globally we don't have a global body recognising or overseeing the sport. And I think that will always be a struggle. And I would love to see something like that. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. It's just me being honest. So we all need to come together to understand how we can improve things moving forward. But we're making a conscious effort to make significant improvements and significant investments for the safety of the sport.
Well, we'll leave it on that. Them lovely words. I could see sweat patches flying off everywhere, Frank. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Better, mate.